in the shadowed halls of the Pentagon, where decisions shaped the fate of nations, the USS Eclipse was born. She was no ordinary vessel. She was the pinnacle of human ingenuity, a floating fortress clad in stealth composites and armed with railguns that could whisper death across horizons, costing over $20 billion, more than the GDP of some small countries. The Eclipse was dubbed the world's most expensive warship. Politicians hailed her as a guardian of freedom, engineers as a marvel of technology, but to Captain Elias Thorne, she was both a crown and a curse. Elias had spent 30 years at sea, his skin weathered like old leather from the salt and sun, his eyes a piercing blue that mirrored the ocean's depths, held stories of storms survived and battles won. Born in a quiet coastal town in Maine, he had joined the Navy young, driven by a sense of duty passed down from his father, a World War II veteran. Now, at 55, Elias commanded the Eclipse, her sleek hull cutting through the Pacific like a blade through silk. But as he stood on the bridge, watching the stars reflect off her darkened radar-absorbent paint, he wondered if this behemoth was worth the price, not just in dollars, but in the souls it demanded. Beside him was Lieutenant Commander Isabella Reyes, his executive officer. Isabella was a force of nature, with raven hair tied in a neat bun and eyes like polished obsidian that missed nothing. At 38, she had risen through the ranks with a blend of intellect and grit, her Mexican-American heritage fueling a fire for justice. She had left behind a life in San Diego, where her parents ran a small taqueria to chase horizons. "Captain," she said, her voice steady as the ship's hum, "the crew's restless. Rumors of deployment to the South China Sea are spreading like wildfire." Elias nodded, his gaze fixed on the holographic display showing the ship's systems, all green, a testament to her perfection. "They have reason to be. The Eclipse isn't just a ship. She's a statement. But statements can provoke wars." Far from the Eclipse's decks, in a cozy home in Virginia Beach, Sophia Thorne waited, Elias's wife of 25 years. Sophia was a painter, whose canvases captured the sea's moods, turbulent grays and serene blues. Her hair, once golden, now streaked with silver, framed a face etched with worry lines from too many goodbyes. Their daughter, Lily, 19 and studying marine biology at college, inherited her mother's artistic soul and her father's wanderlust. "Dad's on that new ship," Lily had said proudly at dinner parties. But Sophia knew the truth. Each deployment chipped away at their family. The story of the Eclipse began not in triumph but in tragedy. 5 years prior, during a routine exercise, the USS Vanguard, a predecessor, had been struck by a rogue missile from a shadowy adversary. 40 sailors perished, including Elias's best friend, Commander Marcus Hale. The loss haunted Elias, fueling his advocacy for advanced defenses. "We can't let that happen again," he had testified before Congress, his voice breaking only once. The Eclipse was the answer. AI-driven countermeasures, drone swarms, and energy shields that could deflect hypersonic threats. But the price tag sparked outrage, protests in Washington, editorials decrying war profiteering. Was a ship worth starving schools or hospitals? As the Eclipse steamed toward contested waters, Elias reflected on his journey. He remembered his first command, a frigate in the Gulf, where he had saved a sinking fishing boat amid a storm. That was heroism, raw, human. Now the Eclipse's bridge felt sterile, buttons and screens replacing the creak of wood and shout of orders. "Isabella," he said one evening as they shared coffee in the wardroom, "do you ever wonder if we're building gods instead of ships?" She smiled faintly, stirring her mug. "All the time, sir. But gods protect their people, don't they?" The crew was a tapestry of lives. Young ensigns like Aidan Brooks, a wide-eyed 22-year-old from Kansas dreaming of adventure. Chief Engineer Serena Vale, 45, a mechanical genius with tattoos mapping her deployments, and Medic Harlan Reed, 30, whose gentle hands had mended wounds in Afghanistan. They trained relentlessly, simulations blurring into reality. The ship's AI, codenamed Aurora, voiced calm alerts. Threat simulation complete. Survival rate 98%. But real threats loomed. Intelligence reports warned of escalating tensions with a rival power, submarines, shadowing Allied fleets, islands fortified like medieval castles. The Eclipse's mission, patrol the Spratly Islands, deter aggression without firing a shot. Presence is power, the Admiral had briefed Elias, yet, as the ship neared the hot zone, Radars pinged unidentified contacts. It started with a blip, a drone swarm, small but swift, launched from an unseen carrier. Alarms blared. "Battle stations!" Elias commanded. The bridge erupted in controlled chaos. Isabella coordinated defenses, her fingers dancing over consoles. Aurora's voice cut through. "Incoming threats 24 units. Activating countermeasures." The Eclipse awoke. Railguns hummed, launching projectiles at Mach 7. Drones deployed from her bays, forming a protective net. Explosions lit the night sky like fireworks, debris raining into the sea. Aiden, manning a station, whispered, "Holy shit, it works." But victory was fleeting. A second wave hit. Missiles this time, evading initial scans. One breached the outer defenses, slamming into the hull. The ship shuddered, alarms wailing. "Damage report," Elias barked. "Portside breach, decks 3 and 4, Serena reported over comms. "Sealing now, but we lost pressure in engineering." Harlan rushed to the wounded, his medkit slung over his shoulder. Among the injured was young Ensign Mia Langley, 24 with dreams of becoming a pilot. Shrapnel had torn her leg. Blood pooled on the deck. "Stay with me, Mia," Harlan urged, applying a tourniquet. Her eyes, wide with pain, met his. "Is it worth it, Doc? All this?" In the chaos, Elias made the call, "Retaliate." The Eclipse's main battery fired. A beam of directed energy vaporizing the enemy launch site. A distant atoll. Satellites confirmed. Target neutralized. The skirmish ended as quickly as it began, but the cost was etched in faces. 3 dead, including Mia, who succumbed to her wounds. Back home, Sophia received the call at dawn. "He's safe," the officer said, but her heart knew better. Lily, home for break, hugged her mother. "Why do they build these things, Mom? So much money for destruction." Sophia stared at the sea from her window. "To protect us, love. But at what price?" Elias stood over the wrapped bodies in the morgue. His uniform crisp, but his soul ragged. Isabella joined him, her arm bandaged from a minor cut. "We saved the fleet, sir." The Eclipse proved her worth. "Did she?" Elias murmured. 3 lives for a skirmish. Billions for a machine that couldn't save them all. The incident made headlines. Eclipse triumphant in first engagement. Stocks in defense contractors soared. But aboard, doubt festered. Aiden, in his bunk, wrote to his parents, "It's amazing, but terrifying." "Is this what heroes do?" Serena, repairing the hull, confided in Harlan. "This ship is a beast, but beasts need hearts. We're the heart." As the Eclipse returned to port, Elias requested a meeting with the Admiralty. In a sterile conference room, he laid it out. "The Eclipse is flawless on paper, but war isn't paper. We need to rethink, invest in people, not just tech." The Admiral, a grizzled veteran named Victor Kane, leaned back. "Captain, you're a legend. But the world changed. Drones, AI, that's the future." Elias met his gaze. Future without soul is no future at all. Leaving the meeting, Elias drove home, the Eclipse's silhouette fading in the rear view. Sophia waited on the porch, Lily beside her. He embraced them, the weight of command lifting momentarily. "I missed you," he whispered. That night, over dinner, Lily asked, "Dad, was it worth it? The ship?" Elias paused, fork midway. "In lives saved, yes. But the price? It's not just money. It's us." Months passed. The Eclipse underwent upgrades, her price tag ballooning further. Elias, promoted but weary, took a desk job mentoring the next generation. Isabella assumed command, her resolve steelier. The ship sailed on, a symbol of might. But in quiet moments, Elias painted with Sophia, waves crashing, ships at peace. He realized the true worth lay not in hulls or guns, but in the human spirit enduring. Yet, as new threats emerged, the question lingered. World's most expensive warship, worth the price? Word count 1248. Wait, that's not 3,000. I need to expand this. To reach 3,000 words, I must flesh out the story more. Let's continue expanding. The genesis of the USS Eclipse traced back to a rainy afternoon in Washington, D.C., where engineers and admirals huddled over blueprints. Dr. Evelyn Hart, a brilliant physicist in her 40s, with curly auburn hair and a mind sharper than any blade, had pioneered the energy shield technology. "This will change everything," she had said, her voice echoing in the room. Evelyn's motivation was personal. Her brother had died aboard the Vanguard, a loss that drove her to innovate. Elias first met Evelyn during the ship's christening. The ceremony was grand. Champagne smashing against the hull, crowds cheering. "Captain Thorne," she greeted, extending a hand. "Your reputation precedes you." "And yours, Doctor?" "The shield, it's miraculous." She smiled sadly. "Miracles have costs. Billions in R&D, but if it saves one life..." Their conversation lingered in Elias's mind as the Eclipse launched her maiden voyage. The crew, 500 strong, represented America's diversity, from the bustling kitchens where Chef Ramon Diaz prepared meals that reminded sailors of home, to the flight deck where pilots like Lieutenant Kai Nakamura prepped drones. Kai, 29, with a quick smile and Japanese heritage, had joined to honor his grandfather, a Pearl Harbor survivor. "This ship is revenge and redemption," he told Aiden one night, stars overhead. Training intensified. Simulations tested every system. In one, a cyber attack breached Aurora. Isabella, hacking back with countermeasures, saved the day. "Good work, Exo," Elias praised. But real life intruded. En route to the Pacific, a storm hit, waves towering like mountains. The Eclipse's stabilizers held, but the crew felt nature's fury. Serena, in engineering, battled flooding pumps. "Hold together, girl," she muttered to the ship. Harlan treated seasick sailors, his calm demeanor a balm. Mia, the ensign, assisted him. "Why medicine at sea?" she asked. "War wounds the body and soul," Harlan replied. "I heal both." As they neared the South China Sea, tension mounted. Briefings revealed satellite images, enemy bases bristling with missiles. "Our presence deters," Elias told the crew. "But be ready." The attack came at midnight. Drones first, then missiles. The shield activated, a shimmering bubble deflecting impacts. Railguns retorted, skies aflame. In the CIC, Elias orchestrated like a conductor.
"Target locked," Isabella announced.
Fire. But a stealth sub slipped through, torpedoes launching. One hit breaching. Explosions rocked the ship. "Evacuate Section 7, Elias ordered. Serena sealed doors, trapping 2 sailors. Their screams echoed over comms. "I can't, Captain." Elias's decision. Flood the compartment to save the ship. "God forgive me." The sub was sunk, but it cost. Mia died in Harlan's arms, whispering of home. Aiden, shell-shocked, questioned everything. Post-battle, the crew mourned. A memorial service on deck, Elias speaking. "They died for us. For peace." Isabella, tears hidden, confided in Elias. "Was it worth it?" "Only if we learn." News spread. Protests back home, billions for war, pennies for peace. Sophia marched, Lily by her side. "Your father's out there," Sophia said. "But this madness." Elias returned a hero, medals pinned. But nightmares plagued him. Drowning sailors, Mia's eyes. He visited Evelyn. "Your shield saved many. But not all," she sighed. "Is it enough?" Retiring, Elias wrote a book, The Price of Power. It questioned military spending, sparking debate. The Eclipse sailed on, a guardian. But Elias knew, true worth was in humanity, not hardware. Years later, Lily, now a Navy officer, commanded a smaller ship. Dad was right, she thought. Worth is in the fight for what's right. The question remained eternal. Expanded word count, approximately 2,150, still short. Continue. To hit 3,000, add more depth to characters and scenes. Let's delve into backstories. Elias's childhood. Growing up, he fished with his father, learning the sea's respect. "Son, the ocean gives and takes," his father said. That lesson shaped him. Sophia's art. Her paintings sold. But she poured emotion into pieces for Elias, one of the Eclipse. Majestic yet lonely. Lily's perspective. At college, she debated war ethics. Technology dehumanizes, she argued. Isabella's rise from poverty. She excelled in academy, facing bias but prevailing. The attack scene extended. Described the chaos, smoke, shouts, the ship's groan. Aftermath, counseling sessions, crew bonding. Homecoming, emotional reunion, family healing. Elias's advocacy, testifying again, pushing for balanced budgets. Conclusion, reflective, powerful. Final word count, aim 3,000. Writing the full story, Control 12 for world's most expensive warship, worth the price. In the heart of the Pacific Ocean, where the horizon stretched like an endless promise, the USS Eclipse glided through the waves with the grace of a predator. She was a marvel of modern engineering. A colossal vessel spanning over 1,200 feet. Her hull forged from advanced alloys that rendered her invisible to radar. Equipped with hypersonic missiles, laser defenses, and an AI system capable of predicting enemy moves before they happened. The Eclipse had cost the American taxpayers an staggering $25 billion, the most expensive warship ever built. Politicians in Washington had sold her as the ultimate deterrent, a shield against rising global threats. But as Captain Elias Thorne stood on her bridge gazing at the starlit sea, he couldn't help but question, was she truly worth the price? Elias Thorne was 55, a man whose life had been defined by duty and the deep blue. With salt and pepper hair cropped short and eyes the color of storm-tossed waves, he exuded the quiet authority of someone who had commanded men through hell and back. Born in the misty harbors of Portland, Maine, Elias had grown up hearing tales of his grandfather's heroism in the Battle of Midway. Those stories had pulled him into the Navy at 18, where he rose through the ranks with a blend of tactical brilliance and unyielding compassion. Now, as captain of the Eclipse, he carried the weight of not just the ship, but the lives aboard her. His family, wife Sophia and daughter Lily, were his anchor. But the sea had a way of pulling him away, time and again. By his side on the bridge was Executive Officer Isabella Reyes, a 38-year-old powerhouse with raven black hair tied in a precise bun and a gaze that could pierce through steel. Isabella had immigrated from Mexico as a child, her family settling in San Diego, where her parents scraped by running a small taco stand. She had joined the Navy to prove something to herself, to her skeptics, that a woman of color could command the waves. Her name, Isabella, meant devoted to God, and she lived it. Her faith a quiet guide through the chaos of military life. "Captain," she said, her voice steady as she reviewed the holographic displays. "The crew's morale is high, but whispers of the cost are circulating. Some say this ship could have funded schools for a generation." Elias nodded, his fingers tracing the edge of the console. "They're not wrong, Isabella. But in a world where enemies lurk beneath the surface, what price do we put on safety?" The Eclipse wasn't just metal and machinery. She was a symbol. Her construction had sparked debates in Congress, protests on the streets, and editorials questioning if billions poured into warfare were better spent on healing a divided nation. Yet here she was, her engines humming with power, ready to face whatever storm came her way. Far from the Eclipse's decks, in a quaint colonial home in Virginia Beach, Sophia Thorne painted by the window, her brush capturing the restless sea. At 52, Sophia was a vision of quiet elegance, her golden hair falling in waves and her green eyes holding the depth of unspoken worries. An artist by trade, she had met Elias at a gallery opening 30 years ago, his uniform catching her eye amid the crowd. They had built a life together, but the Navy had claimed pieces of it. Missed birthdays, lonely nights, the constant fear of that dreaded knock on the door. Their daughter, Lily Thorne, 19 and vibrant with youth, was home from college for the weekend. With her father's blue eyes and her mother's artistic soul, Lily studied environmental science, dreaming of protecting the oceans her father sailed. "Mom, when does Dad come home?" Lily asked, curling up on the couch with a book. Sophia set down her brush, a sad smile touching her lips. "Soon, darling." But the Eclipse, it's his greatest challenge yet. Lily knew the stories, the Vanguard disaster 5 years earlier, where a missile strike had claimed 40 lives, including Elias's closest friend, Commander Marcus Hale. That tragedy had fueled the push for the Eclipse, a ship designed to be unbreakable, but Lily wondered if any machine could truly shield the human heart. Aboard the Eclipse, the crew was a mosaic of dreams and backgrounds. Young Ensign Aidan Brooks, 22, from the wheat fields of Kansas, had joined for adventure, his boyish face still soft with innocence. Chief Engineer Serena Vale, 45 and built like a fortress herself, bore tattoos of every ship she'd served on, her hands calloused from years of wrenching life back into broken machinery. Medic Harlan Reed, 30, with kind brown eyes and a gentle touch, had seen the horrors of Afghanistan and vowed to heal rather than harm. Then there was pilot Kai Nakamura, 29, whose Japanese-American heritage made him a bridge between worlds, his quick reflexes legendary in drone simulations. The ship's AI, Aurora, was the unseen crew member, a soothing female voice that monitored everything from life support to threat detection. "All systems nominal, Captain," Aurora intoned during a routine drill. But drills were one thing. The real test came as the Eclipse approached the contested waters of the South China Sea intelligence. Briefings painted a grim picture. Rival powers fortifying artificial islands, submarines prowling like sharks, tension simmering toward boil. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon in a blaze of orange, Elias gathered his senior officers in the wardroom. The room smelled of coffee and polished wood, a rare oasis of calm. "We're not here to start a war," he said, his voice firm. "But if one finds us, the Eclipse must prove her worth. Remember, this ship isn't just steel, it's the lives we protect back home." Isabella leaned forward, her expression resolute. "Sir, the crew's ready. But the price tag, it's a target on our backs. Enemies see her as a challenge." Serena chuckled dryly. "Let 'em come." "I've got her purring like a kitten." Harlan, ever the voice of reason, added, "And I'll patch up whatever breaks, man or machine." The first sign of trouble came at dawn. Radars pinged a swarm of drones, small, agile, launched from an unseen carrier. Alarms blared through the corridors, red lights flashing. "Battle stations!" Elias commanded over the intercom, his heart pounding in rhythm with the ship's engines. The bridge transformed into a hive of activity. Isabella coordinated defenses, her commands crisp. "Deploy counter-drones. Activate shields." Aurora's voice cut through the din. "Threat level high. 28 units incoming. Estimated impact in 60 seconds. Aiden at his station felt sweat bead on his forehead. "This is it," he muttered, fingers flying over controls. The Eclipse responded like a living entity. Her drone bays opened, releasing a flock of interceptors that danced through the sky. Lasers slicing through enemy units. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers, debris plummeting into the ocean. But one drone broke through, detonating against the hull with a thunderous roar. The ship listed slightly, damage alerts flooding the screens. "Port side hit. Breaching hull integrity," Serena reported from engineering. Her team scrambling with sealants and tools. Harlan rushed to the impacted deck, medkit in hand. There, amid twisted metal and acrid smoke, lay Ensign Mia Langley, 24, a bright young officer with dreams of commanding her own ship one day. Shrapnel had torn into her side, blood soaking her uniform. "Doc!" "It hurts," she gasped, her voice weak. Harlan worked frantically, applying pressure and injecting painkillers. "Hang on, Mia. Think of home. Of that beach you love in Florida." But the wound was too severe. As the ship stabilized, Mia's eyes fluttered closed. Her last words a whisper. Was it worth it? The skirmish ended with the Eclipse victorious. Her railguns silencing the distant launch site. Satellites confirmed the threat neutralized. A forward base on a disputed reef. But victory tasted bitter. 3 crew members dead, including Mia. A dozen injured. Elias stood in the morgue, staring at the body bags, his fists clenched. "They were kids," he said to Isabella, who stood beside him, her arm in a sling from a minor injury. "We saved the fleet, sir. Without the Eclipse, it would have been worse." Elias turned, his eyes haunted. But at what cost? Billions for a machine that couldn't save them all. News of the engagement rippled across the globe. Headlines screamed, "Eclipse triumphs in fiery debut." Defense stock surged, contractors toasting in boardrooms. But back home, protests swelled. In Washington, activists chanted, "Billions for bombs, not for bread." Sophia joined one, her sign reading, "Bring them home." Lily, by her side, felt tears sting her eyes. Dad's out there fighting for what? A ship that's more valuable than people? Sophia hugged her. "He's fighting for us, Lily, but you're right, the price is too high." Aboard the Eclipse, the crew mourned. A memorial service on the flight deck, under a canopy of stars, brought tears and stories. Aiden shared how Mia had mentored him, her laughter echoing in his memory. Serena vowed to reinforce the hull, her tools an extension of her grief. Harlan, exhausted, wrote letters to the families, his words a salve for wounds he couldn't heal. As the ship limped back to port for repairs, Elias reflected on the Vanguard disaster that had birthed the Eclipse. He had been there pulling Marcus from the wreckage only to watch him die. No more, he had vowed. Yet here he was, losing more souls. In his cabin, he penned a letter to Sophia. "My love, this ship is a wonder, but war's true cost is in the hearts left behind. I question if any price is worth this pain." The return to Pearl Harbor was bittersweet. Crowds cheered, bands played, but Elias's thoughts were with the fallen. Disembarking, he was met by Admiral Victor Kane, a burly man in his 60s with a voice like gravel. "Thorne, you did good. The Eclipse proved her mettle." Elias saluted. "At a steep price, sir. We need to rethink, invest in training and people, not just tech. The Admiral clapped his shoulder. The world's not that simple, Captain. But your voice matters. Driving home, Elias felt the tension ease as Virginia's coastline came into view. Sophia waited on the porch, her arms open. He embraced her, burying his face in her hair. I'm home. Lily joined the hug, her voice muffled. We missed you, Dad. Over dinner,